there are two different types of women.
There aren't.
One based on biological sex.
You just
and one
so you
based
do
on
think he's a
gender
woman.
identity.
So you do
No.
think he's a woman.
If you stop interrupting me, I will explain. I've never been so badly and rudely treated by any interviewer before you, Julia. I
Because you won't
entirely.
answer my question.
Hold on, because what you're about to see caught a lot of people by surprise. At first, it looked like another heated television debate. Two people sitting across from each other, both convinced they had the stronger argument. But within moments, the entire conversation took an unexpected turn. Before we dive into the full story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Julia Hartley was asking direct questions, while the activist appeared confident and ready to defend his position. But as the discussion unfolded, the focus quickly shifted from prepared talking points to whether those arguments could stand up under close scrutiny. And that's what makes this exchange so compelling. Sometimes it only takes one carefully timed question to completely change the direction of a debate. As you'll see, the first 30 seconds set the tone for everything that followed. Watch this.
Children needing medical treatment. There's no such thing as a trans child. Do you genuinely believe there are children born in the wrong body?
I believe there are children who believe that they are not the
But they're not
gender
born in the wrong body, so they don't need to be treated for something that isn't actually real, do they?
Well, they do if they are genuinely trans, which they are in 99% of cases.
What's that stat from? Sorry?
Sorry?
What's that? 99% of cases they're genuinely trans. Where's that stat from? What does it mean?
Well, we know from the evidence that puberty blockers have been prescribed with great benefit to thousands.
No, we don't. No, that's not what any of the studies say.
Stop interrupting me. Don't be so rude, please.
No,
Julia.
well, stop saying things that aren't true, Peter.
I let you speak.
Oh, that's very good of you. Stop. When I say something untrue, feel free to jump in.
Okay, well, I'm trying to. There have been hundreds of thousands of young people who've gone through trans treatments successfully and happily in dozens of countries around the world.
There's no follow-up research at all. You can't make that statement. You have nothing to back that statement up for. There is no follow-up at all in most sex clinics, clinics treating kids for this.
The clinics do follow-up. They monitor.
Did you read the Cass review? Did you actually read it?
Yes, I did.
And yet you're still making those statements.
Yes, and Cass did not say that young people should be denied puberty blockers and hormone treatments. They said they should only be applied with caution, and that is correct. Because the
evidence for them was actually that they were not good children. But okay, I just want to clarify that you believe that 99% of children who are genuinely trans. I mean, no child is born in the wrong body. It's an impossibility. But an awful lot of children seem to think that they are.
I would not use that phrase, and have not used that phrase.
Okay.
So do not impose it upon.
Children who think that they are, huge proportion of them are either turn out to be gay or autistic. That's a very strong argument for not giving this sort of absolutely, no turning back treatment to any child, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. And that's why the process is currently, and has for many years, been very slow and arduous. No one is rushed. He goes to a clinic and gets treatment the next day or the next month. It's years and years.
No, that's simply not true. That's simply not true. We know people that has happened to. Honestly, some people may be waiting a long time. A lot of people don't. Right, look, let's come on to another issue. We had that Supreme Court judgment, which didn't change the law. It clarified what the law is now, what it is in the future, and what it has been since 2010 and the Equality Act, which established the rights of women to single-sex spaces, single-sex services and the like. An awful lot of bodies, whether it's NHS hospitals, whether it's Girl Guiding over the weekend and others, have basically said, some theatres and things like that, said, well, we're going to carry on, we believe, they say, respecting trans people's rights, and we are going to continue to allow men who identify as if they were women into the women's toilets and women who believe they identify as men into the men's toilets. Now, that is in breach of the law. Are they right to do so?
Well, first let me say there are two very important issues here: the rights of women and the rights of trans people. We have to find a way, wherever possible, to reconcile them and to ensure that both are protected. biological sex is a reality. It's very important. Some women are women based on chromosomal sex, and that's correct. Some women are women based on gender identity. That is different, but it's equally valid.
No.
I would say
only women are based on biological sex. And then there are men who either mistakenly or claim to believe that they are women. But they're not actually women. They're not women in law, and they're not women in practical reality. They are men.
The Supreme Court did not define what biological sex means. Didn't.
What?
It
didn't. So biological. You think that the Supreme Court ruling on biological sex of women includes men who believe they're women?
No, I didn't say that. I said the Supreme Court did not provide a definition of biological sex.
It really did.
No, it didn't. What did it? Tell me what.
It was very, very clear about women being defined by their biological sex, and we know what the biological sex of a woman is. We know it's from her from her chromosomes. We know what a woman is, and we know what a man is.
Well,
so how can you be a woman if you're a man?
Biological sex encompasses a range of different characteristics, primarily chromosomes, but also genitals, reproductive organs, hormones, and
different ones from men,
and secondary sex characteristics. So there's a multiplicity of things that define biological sex. So sadly, the Supreme Court did not give guidance on what it defines.
No, it doesn't need to, because we know what biological sex means, and it means I'm a woman and you're a man, and it's blatantly obvious to everyone you're a man, and it's blatantly obvious to everyone I'm a woman because of our biological differences. So how can you claim some women are women? I hate to tell you, I'm not a subset of women. I'm the only kind. Some women, i.e. all women, are biologically women, and some men who think they are women can wear what they want, live their lives as they want, call themselves what they want, that's fine. But they're not women, and they're specifically not women in law. So what should those organisations do where they have been told explicitly by the Supreme Court that the law is, and has always been, that women are only the people who are allowed into women's single-sex spaces and men are not allowed into them, whatever they call themselves, whatever certificate they've got from the government, and whatever they've had done to themselves or not had done to themselves, whatever they think of themselves. What should those organisations now do? Should they obey the law, or should they continue to allow men who believe they are women into women's spaces?
Notice exactly what just happened there. Julia asks one simple, direct question, and instead of answering it, the activist shifts the conversation 3 different times. First, it is puberty blockers. Then, it is the Cass Review interpretation. Then, it is intersex people. This is one of the oldest debate tactics in the book. When a question is uncomfortable, you expand the conversation until the original question gets buried. But Julia does not let it get buried. She keeps pulling it back. And that moment where he finally says, after going back and forth for several minutes, trans women are trans women. That is actually the most honest thing said in the entire exchange, because it is an acknowledgement that the categories are different. The problem is he spent the previous 5 minutes arguing both sides of that same point. You cannot say there are 2 kinds of women in one breath and then say a fully biological male is not a woman in the next breath. Those 2 statements directly contradict each other, and that contradiction is what the entire debate exposes.
You have failed to provide a definition of biological sex.
Haven't.
The Supreme Court has failed to provide a definition.
You don't know what a woman is.
In law, definitions are very important, so we avoid confusion and we ignore injustices and ensure fairness. But let's let pass.
No, let's not let that pass. I know what a woman is. Everyone knows what a woman is. Even Keir Starmer apparently miraculously knows what a woman is. Do you genuinely believe that a man with male chromosomes, penis and 2 testicles, genuinely, who says, I am a woman, whether they've got a gender recognition certificate or not, that person is a kind of woman?
Well, I have a friend who is intersex.
We're not talking about intersex.
Yes. Because you think...
No, we're not talking about
sex.
That wasn't the question I asked you.
You think it's simple. It's not
There are
simple.
a tiny percentage of people who are intersex, but we're not talking about that. I'm asking you the question I asked you. Why don't you answer that question?
What are they going to do? What are intersex people going to do with this?
That's not the issue, and you know it's not the issue, because we haven't had intersex people making threats against women and people like J.K. Rowling for the last 10 years.
Most
I
trans
asked you a
people
question.
do not make
Why
threats
don't you?
against anyone.
Oh, but you're not on the internet very much, then, Peter, by the looks of it.
Yeah, a tiny minority have done bad things, and I've condemned them. I've opposed harassment, abuse, threats, and insults.
But it still keeps coming.
And
apparently, a lot of them want to urinate all over us. Apparently,
it comes both ways.
Do you think that a man who thinks he's a woman is a woman? That was my question.
Because I defend trans women, I've been threatened with rape, murder, having my house burnt down, and being castrated by people who supposedly are feminists.
Really?
I do not believe.
I've never seen any abuse from that side.
Like that.
Not
all feminists are like that.
Yeah, you don't have to be a feminist for things.
You are keen to generalise.
I asked you a question. Do you believe that a man who is physically intact, a man, is chromosomally a man, but who believes himself to be a woman, regardless of how he dresses, what certificate or piece of paper he has in his hand, do you believe that he is a woman?
No. There are
so why are we getting confused then?
I explained at the beginning earlier, there are two different types of women.
There aren't.
One based on biological sex.
You just
and one
so you do think he's a woman.
Identity.
So you do think he's a woman.
If you stop interrupting me, I will explain. I've never been so badly and rudely treated by any interviewer before you, Julia.
Because you won't answer my question. Do you think he's a woman? Yes, is the answer.
I respect you entirely, but I'm not going to be bullied by you and having you interrupting me when I'm trying to make a reasoned point. I've listened to you with courtesy and politeness.
But you're not answering any of my questions. Is that man a woman? And you're saying no, and then you say, but he is a kind of woman. So is he a woman or not? Yes or no?
Trans women are trans women. Trans men are trans men.
So he's not a woman? So he's not allowed in the bathroom of a woman then? Is it? In which case,
that is the problem with the Supreme Court decision and its interpretation by the Equality and Human Rights Commission. They are saying that trans women cannot use the female toilet
because they're men,
and they, in certain circumstances, they cannot use the men's facilities either. So where are they supposed to go?
They didn't say that. They said you should use the toilets of your actual biological sex. They were they were very, very clear about that. They couldn't have been more explicit.
Here's my honest takeaway from everything you just watched. This debate was messy. It was loud. People talked over each other constantly. But underneath all of that noise, there is actually a genuinely serious policy question, one that affects real people on multiple sides. What the Cass Review actually found, what the Supreme Court ruling actually said, what the evidence on youth medical treatments actually shows. These are not simple questions, and they deserve honest, fact-based answers. What does not help anyone on any side of this debate is coming onto live television, throwing out statistics with no source, misrepresenting legal rulings, and then complaining about rudeness when someone asks you to back up your claims. If your argument is solid, a follow-up question should not destroy it. That is the real lesson from this clip. Now I want to hear from you. Did Julia ask fair questions here, or did she push too hard? And do you think the activist had a point that got lost in the chaos? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this kind of debate breakdown is what you were here for, subscribe and hit the bell so you catch the next one.